as our wild card dealings are done in the AFC, and what a divisional round we are set for. Shout out to the graphics team. This is a thing of beauty.
Yes, it is.
Kansas City, Houston, Baltimore, Buffalo for a spot in the AFC title game. Again, all roads do in fact lead to Kansas City. If they take down Houston, they will remain at Arrowhead. And on the other side, MVP favorites going head-to-head for a spot in that title game. Back with the Mac, Joe Musso, Ryan Harris as well. Fellas, this is it. This is the good stuff. Same 4 teams as a year ago, all deserving participants, but we ain't handing out participation trophies. Let's start with that Ravens-Bills matchup, Mac. MVP quarterbacks, star running backs, defenses that have done enough to this point. So much is the same between these two. What will separate them?
The quarterback that plays the smartest football. And that's usually the case when you look at playoff competition, good versus good. It's usually the quarterback that keeps the football clean. Who can keep Wilson clean? And also to become a playmaker, because both quarterbacks have been the ultimate playmaker for their said teams the entire season. So we should expect to see playmaking ability coming from Lamar Jackson, coming from Josh Allen. But who can be smart with the football, in my opinion, will lead their team to victory. Because you look at what Buffalo has done, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, they're undefeated. They have been undefeated at home, right?
9-0 at home, and to your point, Josh Allen, 1 turnover in this last recent stretch. 2 turnovers total since week 11 right now, protecting the football.
And remember, that was an Achilles heel to his game, the inability to keep Wilson clean. This season, he's been outstanding in protecting the football. And the same can be said for Lamar Jackson as well. And it shouldn't be a surprise to see both guys competing neck and neck in terms of the MVP award.
To me, it's going to come down to whose defense plays better. And for me in the Ravens, I like Kyle Hamilton at safety playing a big role to shut off some of those big plays that Josh Allen creates by biding time. And then for the Bills defensively, can Matt Milano stop Derrick Henry? Can that defense stop Derrick Henry? Yes, Lamar Jackson is an elite passer. Yes, he can still beat you with his arm, but you want to force him to do that while knowing he doesn't have a run game. And if the Bills can do that, it's anybody's game. And I do like what B-Mac said. It's going to come down to turnovers with the quarterbacks too. But that, to me, is where the defenses of each team comes into play. And right now, the Bills have momentum. And the Ravens, they just got to believe that, oh, they've been having great practices for 2 weeks. So the Bills have proof in the pudding. The Ravens, they believe in the pudding that they're making right now, but won't get a chance to see it until game time.
Kyle Hamilton, we are.
ND. Let's go, baby.
I just had to get. As we take a look at the numbers here, Vegas sees a 1.5 between them, Mac, in favor of the home side in the Buffalo Bills. That essentially tells us neutral site, these are the same teams. What do you like about that number? Where do you lean on it? I'm not going to lock you into a pick here a week out, but when you see it, your first reaction is what?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised to see Buffalo be the favorites. I'm not surprised to see a 1.5 because 2 outstanding teams. And I think Buffalo being the favorite is solely because they're playing at home. I think if this game was to take place in Baltimore, it would be the opposite direction in favor of Baltimore being a 1.5 dog in this spot. This is basically like a pick 'em, honestly. You know, in terms of you believe Buffalo can win this ball game, of course, you know, you can take the money line. If you believe Baltimore's going to win this ball game, you know, you take money line as well. I think it's going to be a competitive game. 2 outstanding quarterbacks led by 2 great coaches as well. And the thing that I love in terms of what Ryan talked about, both defenses, when you look at where they currently are right now compared to in the first month and a half of the season, they're playing better football. That's encouraging as well, and that's why I believe we're going to see an outstanding game. This is going to feel like the AFC Championship game because of the star power that this game will have.
I like this line right now where it's at. You're still a week out. It's going to move, right? But one thing that B-Mac can tell you, too, it's tough to go and play in Buffalo. And I'm talking about before you get to the game. A lot of guys like to get something to eat the night before. You're not really doing that in Buffalo. They got one spot that says they invented chicken wings, and that's about it. So there's not a lot to do. The cold is different up there. You feel like you're in Canada. And then when you go to Bills Stadium, you go down, down, down into your locker room, and it gets colder with every step. and the noise the Bills fans are going to make, I can't even imagine. So I do like the Buffalo Bills in this one. I like where the line's at right now. And the Ravens are going to have their hands full. It's a tough place to play, tough place to get your mind around. And remember, the big games that the Ravens have played, many of those have been at home this season. So their on-the-road mechanics are going to have to be fantastic, something they really haven't had to work in for a while now in big games.
What a celebration of the sport. I mean, say what you want about that MVP conversation. We are the winners come divisional round between these two. It's going to be a blast to watch it go down between the Ravens and the Bills. You said AFC title game type feel.
It's going to feel like that.
Well, whoever wins it, leave a little something in the tank, because good time Patty Mahomes is looking for his 7th consecutive trip to the AFC Championship game. It's Houston standing in his way. How does Houston shake the constant from their current throne? I mean, we sometimes say after Christmas, let's double back in the new year. It's time to double back. This team's been on ice for 2.5 weeks, Mac. What do you expect out of KC?
For Houston to be able to win this ball game, it starts and it stops with Will Anderson and Neil Hunter. Autry, the rest of the guys. These guys got to harass Pat Mahomes. They got to make Pat Mahomes uncomfortable. And now you look at the first matchup there on the highlights. That was the first game Pat played with a bummed-up ankle, and yet he still made plays. So you have to understand, even when he's injured, he is still deadly, and you have to attack him as such. They allowed Pat Mahomes to get things going early in that ball game, and they never could get out of that snowball that came downhill. But if you look at the success they had last week against Justin Herbert, they beat Herbert up. They collapsed the pocket. He never had an opportunity to get comfortable, because if you look at the Houston Texans, offensively, they have some issues. But if their defense can keep them afloat like they did yesterday against the Chargers, that's the only opportunity you have against the baby goat.
The baby goat. He gets a little bit bigger every year. That goat's growing with each and every year. We're looking at 7.5. Kansas City, the home favorite here. I get it. You add it all up, it's probably 7.5, but it is playoff football. As the porridge goes, Ryan, too hot, too cold, just right. What do you make of the 7.5?
Well, I think it's too high. I mean, I got to call the game yesterday between the Texans and the Chargers. And let's talk about Derek Stingley Jr. 2 picks, one of them fantastic. You want to beat Patrick Mahomes, you get some interceptions, as the Texans did defensively against the Chargers. 4 total turnovers and a turnover on downs on top of that. But then the big key for the Texans, C.J. Stroud cannot wait until a broken play in the second quarter to get going. He has got to start firing. Nico Collins should be hit early and often. But if the Texans defense plays the way they did against the Chargers, stopping the run, and I love what B-Mac said. I mean, Will Anderson didn't pop up at the top of the stat sheet, but he was everywhere in that game, harassing Justin Herbert, harassing different players who were trying to carry the football. And much like hockey, if your defense is playing well at the right time, you can win anything. So I like it more like a 3.5 right now because of the way that defense is playing and how explosive C.J. Stroud was in the second half against the Chargers.
I like it where it is, honestly, Ryan, and here's why. Pat Mahomes, he's rested. He's probably healthier than the last time we saw Pat Mahomes. And if you look at the last time we saw Pat Mahomes in a meaningful ball game, they just scored another touchdown in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right?
I wasn't going to bring it up.
I didn't want to bring it up. I was there. And I saw that in person. Listen, that offense with Pat Mahomes and Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins and Isaiah Pacheco and then Travis Kelce, he's finally in game shape. He waited to December, but guess what? He's ready to rock and roll. And then, of course, when I transition to the defensive side, Ryan, you know about this. The one issue for Houston has been their ability to do what? Protect the quarterback. Yeah. They had issues yesterday against the Chargers. One thing we know about Steve Spagnuolo, he is going to light the kitchen up. Can you handle the heat when you're inside? We know they've had issues with that, not to mention when you've seen extra hats and blitz concepts. So I think the line is right where it needs to be because, like I said, the last time we saw Pat Mahomes in a meaningful ball game, ooh, he looked different.
And if I'm not mistaken, we didn't see the defensive captain and Chris Jones.
Chris Jones didn't play
in that game.
He didn't need him.
He didn't play.
He didn't need him. Why? He's okay. And he's rested, and he's healthier as well.
What do you like to say? Get that play 60 arm ready?
That play 60 arm warmed up. We're going to throw it around the yard.
Ryan McFadden, Ryan Harris, we are so lucky to watch it all go down, fellas. Thanks for setting the stage here for that AFC divisional weekend. It'll be here soon enough, and for some, all too soon. Kansas City. Friends, what be?
Hey, Joe, that's quarterback star power, too, by the way.
Come on now. Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, Stroud, Young, Gifted. Let's get to it.
Lại cái kênh YouTube của mình. Video ngày hôm nay của mình sẽ là
America's number one sportsbook.
A little stiff. What, you got a job interview?
I'm doing the FanDuel Kick of Destiny 3.
rất nhiều những
I'll
sản
finally
phẩm
be a kicker.
mình đã chuẩn bị
Like I always
để
dreamed.
tô màu tặng tất cả các bạn đây.
You'll never be a kicker, Eli. You'll just have to be a quarterback like me and
Rất
Dad.
là quen thuộc.
FanDuel Kick of Destiny is my destiny, Peyton.
Not if I make it
Và
first.
đồ dùng đi theo mình
Destiny
là
3. Make your free
một
pick
xăm
now.
màu.
May the best man win. New customers spend $5 get 200 in bonus bets.
Kênh màu. Đây,
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost.
các
You
bạn
need to
các bạn thứ
hire.
hai cho mình like để đăng ký kênh
Indeed,
nha.
you do. Sponsored jobs on Indeed are 2.5 times faster to first hire. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Dr. Larson suffered a traumatic brain injury. She has no recollection of the last 8 years.
What's going on?
We got divorced.
What?
You can't leave her in the dark forever.
She didn't look to me like she used to before everything happened.
Your behavior was under review.
I don't know what I did, but I am a damn good doctor. And I will get that back.
Doc, all new this Tuesday on Fox.
This card is absolutely amazing. Islam Makhachev, the best in the world. What is it going to take to stop this guy? Arman Sarukian. Real world championship caliber skills. The toughest challenge for the champion, Murad Blavashvili, is Umar Nurmagomedov.
It all goes down from Inglewood, California into a dome, live on pay-per-view.
Your next win isn't just built in the gym. It's powered by recovery. That's why there's Frog Fuel. Frog Fuel isn't your typical protein supplement. It targets muscles and connective tissue, the key to a strong foundation for more gains and fewer injuries. Trusted by elite athletes, Frog Fuel requires no mixing and contains 15 grams of nano-hydrolyzed protein that digests completely. Learn more at frogfuel.com. Stay unbreakable with Frog Fuel.
Trying on glasses using Warby Parker's virtual try-on is so lifelike, so realistic, that you might not even be able to tell what's real from what's virtual. Yep, it's that good. Virtually try on hundreds of styles at warbyparker.com.
There wouldn't be an hour in the day that I didn't think about hair thinning. I chose Nutrafol because it was 100% drug-free and clinically tested. I experienced thickness, volume. Nutrafol is life-changing for me.
Get growing at Nutrafol.com/men.
Welcome back to Sports Center. We are in Oklahoma City at the Paycom Center for the Sprouts Farmers Market Collegiate Quad. And what a way to start the women's collegiate gymnastics season. I'm John Roethlisberger alongside Olympic champion Allie Raisman. What a star-studded weekend and a great way to kick off the most wonderful time of the year, in my opinion.
This is a very special weekend. We have 7 Olympic athletes competing, and today could very well be the preview for the national championship, so I am so excited.
And maybe the biggest headliner